Hi everybody, I'm Chris Zielinski, Culinary Director at MLSC, and today we're going to cook up something special for Ontario Garlic Week. For today's recipe, we're going to be cooking an Ontario corn-fed beef tenderloin, and then we're going to season that with a little bit of garlic spice, which I'm going to make with these wonderful McCormick spices. We are going to serve it with a very soft roast garlic and white truffle polenta. We've got a little black garlic jus that's going to go on there. We've got some confit rapini and a little bit of mustard seed caviar. So for our first step, in this case, I've got multiple different types of peppercorns in one here. And I'm going to use a little coffee grinder. I'm going to throw them all in there. I'm just going to pulse this a couple times. And it looks like we're ready to go. So I've got my ground peppers. I'm going to put them in my jar. I got a little bit of black garlic powder. So I'm just going to add a few sprinkles of that. It's going to give it a nice little caramel flavor. Actually, I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Most steak spices include coriander seed. Put about a teaspoon in there as well. And then finally, I've got some crystallized garlic. So crystallized garlic really pops in your mouth when you bite into it. So I want to make sure that we've got that in there. Kosher salt, which will round it out. And really, that's all you need. And this will last you about a month and you're covered as long as you keep it sealed. So the next step, we're going to roast some garlic. I like kind of open roasting them in the oven. So the way I do that is I take my fresh garlic. It's got a little bit of furry bit on the bottom there. You can just cut that away. And then on the top, I'm just going to cut just enough off so that I can open it up like that so the oil can get in there and the salt. So once you've got all that done, all you really need is a roasting pan. And I'm just going to drop those in the pan. Olive oil. You don't have to skimp here. I mean, the whole idea here is to get them completely kind of bathed in olive oil and salt. And I'm just going to pop these in the oven. 25 minutes later, we're going to have beautiful roasted garlic. All right, with any good steak, a jus is what everybody loves to have. In this case, we're going to take black garlic. Black garlic, if you're not familiar, is a regular garlic that's actually been aged. It gives the garlic a really different flavor. It has kind of almost a molasses flavor to it. You can eat the whole thing. With that, we're also going to add a little bit of -8 vinegar. It's almost like, you know, the flavor of a Concord grape or a raisin smashed together with this beautiful sweet vinegar. It really is a unique product, and I encourage you to go out there and get some. You may want to use a couple shallots, but for this purpose, we're just going to make one. And so I'm just going to make some really small cuts straight up and down here. Also going to chop up my black garlic. Just chop it kind of roughly. Get some nice little slices. I don't really want to brown this too much. I just want to give it a little bit of touch. So I'm going to add my olive oil in. In goes my shallots. In goes my black garlic. And we're going to go right back on the stove. Love mushrooms with steak. Just about everybody does. So today we're going to be using some beach mushrooms. So a beach mushroom is a type of mushroom that actually grows at not on the beach, but at the foot of a beach tree. So I like these mushrooms because they really keep their texture when you grill them or cook them. And usually when you buy them, they come in a cluster. And just break them into pieces about this size. Once they're ready like this, you're just going to plop them right onto the grill. We're also going to make a little garnish of mustard seed caviar. In this case, I'm going to use all of these mustard seeds because, again, I'm making something I can keep in my fridge and use. So I'm going to dump them all in there. We're going to add a bit of water to it. Once the mustard seeds are cooked, they're going to puff up and become very similar to the size of a beluga caviar. And along with any kind of mustard, a little bit of sweet goes a long way. I got some local honey. I'm going to put that in there. Salt and a little bit of cider vinegar. All right, I think we're ready for the star of the show, besides garlic, of course. Ontario corn-fed beef. So the one thing when you're buying a steak, you're always going to look for that marbling. And you should never be discouraged by seeing lines of fat in there. That fat is a great sign that steak has been properly aged. So these steaks are absolutely perfect. We've got our steak spice that we made earlier. And just do a nice heavy season on there. And I'm going to add just a touch more salt here because salt really makes them sing. All right, we're ready to cook these. Underneath this steak, we're going to have a nice soft polenta. In this case, I want the polenta to be almost like a sauce. Of course, our star ingredient, which is the garlic. This is a piece of roast garlic that I took from the oven. When you roast it, you end up with this very nice texture. It's a soft, sweet texture, and all the sugar in the garlic really comes through. So along with our roasted garlic in there, we're going to have some onion. I'm going to use a fair amount of butter. We're not messing around. We've got our butter melted. In go the onions. So while those are simmering away, I'm going to show you how to get the garlic out of this bowl. The simplest way to do this is really just to give it a good squeeze. And generally what happens is all the garlic will just pop right out, just like that. With these skins, I'm going to actually put them into another pan. And I'm going to add a bit of olive oil to that pan. And then I'm going to use that oil to cook our rapini. You notice I'm using a lot of olive oil. I use a lot of olive oil. That's we've got our onions all softened up. Into the pot goes that garlic. We're just going to add 2% milk. Salt, as always. We got some tarragon. I still want to taste it, so I'm not going to chop it super fine. We've got some chives. Those two are ready to go. All right, now we're going to grate this delicious Mountain Oak Gouda, one of Ontario's best cheeses. Nobody ever complained about too much cheese in their polenta. Now that we've come to a boil, it's still kind of a bit saucy, but I'm going to add my cheese in there now. I want to get that flavor going in there. Perfect. It's right at the right texture now. Truffle oil always at the end. And then I've got my fresh herbs that I cut. And we're ready to go. This time of year, all of our garlic is ready to eat. It's just grown, it's perfectly ready to pick. The other thing in Ontario that grows at this time of year is rapini. If you take a look at the plant, you'll see that there's like a bud up here, almost like a broccoli. We're just gonna cook those and make that part of the dish today. So I'm just gonna kind of cut the stems off and we'll just work with pieces like that. I'm going to blanch these first. I got my boiling pot of water back here. I wanna make sure I got some salt in there as well. And then I'm just gonna dump in my rapini. Now we're gonna do the confit part of this process. So sizzling away behind me, I've got my garlic skins from the roast garlic and the olive oil together and a little bit of salt. I'm gonna remove my lightly branched rapini here. You see that nice bright color you get. I'm gonna take my hot oil. I'm gonna dump that right in there. All right, we're ready to finish it up. I'm gonna take it to the plate. I got my nice creamy polenta. That is going to be the base. Remember, I was shooting for, a sauce-like texture here. I don't really want it to be super thick. So then we got our perfect medium rare Ontario corn-fed beef steak, beach mushrooms. Then we've got our confit rapini. I'm going to put a little bit of our mustard seed caviar, just in a couple spots. And then we've got our black garlic jus, which is right here, all nice and reduced. And there you have it, our Ontario Garlic Week steak. Bon appetit.